Hey guys, it's Matthew here. Welcome back to my channel, and today we're talking about Late Night with the Devil. For anyone not following, this is the latest film by creative duo Colin and Cameron Cairnes. And the story follows David Dastmalchian as Jack Gilroy, a struggling late night host, who hosts a Halloween special that goes horribly wrong and shocks viewers across the globe. And so I didn't know this film actually debuted over a year ago at South by Southwest, apparently to critical acclaim, but it wasn't on my radar until just recently. This film has been gathering a lot of hype in that last year, and I did try to keep my expectations in check, but after having seen it, I'm happy to say that it's pretty good. I think a lot of us horror sickos out there have just been looking for something that's just different, unique, fresh, and interesting, and viewing this trailer, it's immediately obvious this might be just what we're looking for. I think the film just looked unlike anything we've seen recently, and I'll be honest, my main draw was David Dastmalchian in the lead role as Jack Gilroy. I love David, and it's great to see him in a leading role here, and coming away from the movie, he's definitely my favorite aspect. And so Late Night with the Devil strikes a really nice balance of being cheesy and campy at times, and then also having some legitimate scares. It's clear that these guys have a lot of reverence for classic horror and B movies of the 70s and 80s. And I will say that a few members of this cast are hamming it up just a little bit too much. I mean, it's totally enjoyable, but I think casting David Dastmalchian was such a great choice. I mean, he brings such an honesty and a sincerity that the movie really needed. And I think that is part of what helps them nail the tone that they were going for. That being said though, it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. This film is definitely campy, like take it or leave it. It's unapologetically campy, but it's really perfect with the presentation of the 70s TV show. I mean, it's a low budget indie horror film, so it's keeping that tradition of campy horror alive both in spirit and in its technical merits. But I really love the choices they made with the presentation here. I mean, it goes from a 4.3 aspect ratio when it's supposed to be basically the live broadcast of the television show, and in between commercial breaks we're seeing kind of like a widescreen black and white behind the scenes type of view. And I will say that the film is not perfect structurally. There was a little bit too much exposition in my opinion. The film is definitely a slow burn, but I would say it's more engaging than your typical slow burn, so don't let that deter you if you're not a fan of that. I had a packed audience seeing this with me, and everybody was pretty into it. Although it takes a while to get going, I think it's still engaging up front, but I think a lot of that is due to David Dastmalchian's kind of honesty and believability. And I will say I did really enjoy how the plot unfolded. It is a bit complex, and I don't think anyone will have every answer walking away from the film the first time. I would definitely watch this again just to piece together everything that happens. And the scares worked pretty well for me. Like I said, it's low budget indie horror. And this film is by no means revolutionizing practical effects, but there was a decent amount of practical effects mixed with like CG. I would say there were standout moments, both good and bad, in terms of the effects, and the scares were pretty enjoyable. But again, this is another warning. If campy, low-budget indie horror is not your thing, you're probably not going to be crazy about this one. I think they definitely did the most with their budget in terms of the practical sets, the practical effects. They really nailed the atmosphere too. I mean, I just really wish we get more films that are Halloween-centered, Halloween-themed. I mean, you could walk into this movie any day of the week and believe for a moment that it's actually Halloween night. And although I'm glad I caught this one in theaters, I actually think it'll be perfect at home and on TV. This is an amazing sleepover movie, and I think that totally goes along with the fact that it's Halloween themed. This is a perfect movie for a Halloween marathon, turning it on at 2 a.m. with friends. I just wish I could live vicariously through anyone who's gonna do that with this movie, because it is just so much fun. It's the perfect vibe to kind of have a few laughs and a few legitimate scares. And I think for a lot of people, this is gonna be a mainstay in their Halloween marathons. And I actually love that it's coming out quite a few months before Halloween, because by the time Halloween rolls around, this is going to be on streaming, and it's just going to be perfect there. And I know the director said their main influences were movies such as Videodrome and Halloween 3, and that really comes through on the screen. There's just so much love for classic horror. And I just love it anytime we get something other than the usual Blumhouse style jump scare type horror movies. I mean, this is better than probably 85% of those. And also a little bit of a breath of fresh air from the prestige horror in quotes that we've been getting the last few years, which I love, but there aren't too many movies coming out like Late Night with the Devil. This is really a perfect popcorn horror movie, and I don't mean that in any bad way. I think it's like legitimately fun and scary. Doesn't take itself too seriously, and David Dastmalchian is honestly great here. I really hope to see him in more leading roles. And I will definitely be checking this one out again around Halloween time. And if you guys don't catch this one in theaters, definitely check it out on streaming. I think that this team deserves a lot of support, and I really hope that they are able to make another film, something bigger and better even. But they have a lot of potential, and this one's definitely worth checking out. I would give Late Night with the Devil a 7 out of 10. But what did you guys think of the movie? What was your favorite aspect? Please let me know down below. And check out my review of Dune Part 2 if you haven't seen that already. But other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you take care.